Hi guys, hope you're all having a great day. Today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about 3D printing and my experience with it so far. But before we get into the video, I just want to say if you want to see more videos like this one, hit that subscribe button and also click the notification bell. That way you'll get notified about new uploads from me. So back to the printing then. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that just before Christmas, probably about a month or two actually, I got my first 3D printer, and you can probably see it there in the background. That printer is the Prusa I3 MK3, and it's awesome. I just want to sort of share my experience with it from ordering to where I'm at now. And yeah, so the first thing I did was order the printer, and I bought it from the Prusa research website, which is also where I'd recommend you get one, because it goes directly to Prusa, and ultimately it'll go back into the business and into future printers. So yeah, it was nice and easy to order. The lead time and delivery time was a little bit stretched out, probably because it's closer to Christmas, which is expected, but I think it took 2 weeks from the date I ordered it, which honestly that's pretty good, considering it comes from Prague and I'm in the UK, so not too long at all really. I decided to order the kit version, and as a sort of DIY guy who likes building stuff, I was really excited to build the printer, just because it's probably the most expensive thing I've built, and one of the hardest things, one of the most complex things I've built, I guess, in terms of a kit. So, I've built, model kits and things like that, but never anything that I'm actually going to use and it's going to be useful. So, I will say building the kit was just so much fun. Credit to the Prusa team. The instructions and the assembly process is so smooth, it's so clean, and they clearly thought it out really well. It's just, even from when you open the box, everything you need is in order. So, the boxes with numbers and labels on them, and also packets with all the screws and the bolts and all the plastic parts. It's just so easy, and it was a treat to build it. Usually anything with instructions to put together is a nightmare. If you've ever tried to put furniture together, the instructions usually don't make sense, but in this case they really did, and it was awesome. So I would recommend the kit to anyone, mainly because when you're putting it together you kind of gain a good understanding of how it works. So in the future, when things start going wrong, and they will at some point, you've just got a better idea of where to look, and you'll have more confidence in repairing the printer yourself, as opposed to either getting a new one or getting somebody else to fix it for you. But if you're into 3D printing, chances are you're sort of into DIY and stuff like that, so I'd say you'd want the confidence to repair it yourself. But yeah, you also get a pack of Haribos, pretty standard. As soon as you open the box, there's a pack of Haribos on the top. I thought that was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it, which was kind of nice, because it kind of keeps you going when you're trying to build it. Just keep having the sugar all the time. Total build time for me was probably between 10 and 12 hours, and that was across 3 days. I didn't do it in one session. I really sort of took my time with it, and I wanted to do it right, because it doesn't come with spare parts. It comes with a few spare screws and nuts and bolts and things like that, but no actual plastic parts. There's no spares, and they can be really easy to break if you're not careful. So I just wanted to sort of make sure I did it right, and from the get-go, take my time, double check things, and I think it was worth doing that, because I've seen a lot of posts and things where people have broken parts if they're over tightening them, and you just got to be really careful. But all in all, I'd say the assembly process is just, it's fun. It's so much fun. If you like building stuff, you're gonna love it. So after assembly, the next stage was calibration, and honestly, this part of the process was a little frustrating, and it took quite a while. I think I was trying to calibrate for about 3-4 hours maybe, and I'd say if you're not used to debugging things, being into hardware, I'm quite used to things not working. That's pretty standard if you're a developer or, you know, an electronics engineer. Things never work, and it's your job to fix them. So I kind of expected it when I turned it on. It didn't work first time, but I got there in the end, and I think anyone can, because there's so many tools available. So Prusa have got a forum where, you know, if you're having trouble with the assembly, you can just make a post. They've also got a live chat available with their staff. If, you know, you're really, really stuck, they'll kind of guide you, send you in the right direction. But I will say, your best tool really is Google. So if during the calibration process, if something does go wrong, the printer will give you an error message, and all you need to do is put that error message into Google, and you'll see forum posts and sort of tons of people have had the same problem, and chances are someone else has posted a solution there that'll fix your problem. And that's basically how I got through it. And yeah, it was okay. A bit stressful, but okay. And now it's working. And sometimes now, at least now going forward, you know, having those errors, if they come up again, I know how to fix them straight away. So that's awesome. After calibration, you're pretty much ready to go. There is another little calibration step, which is adjusting the layer height, but I'll get into that later on. But yeah, I was just blown away how easy it was from after that point to actually be able to print anything. It's almost plug and play. It's quite impressive how they've managed to simplify quite a complex thing and make it almost accessible to anyone. So overall, I was really impressed with the whole build process. And what I'll do now is I'll take you over to the printer. I'll show you a couple of things, like my first print and a couple of the little features on there. And yeah, so let's go over there. Okay guys, so this is the printer, and basically I just want to show you my first couple of prints and how easy it actually is to get started and get a print going. So my first real print was this Prusa logo. So this comes sort of pre-installed on the SD card, and you can see it's a really thin print. It's basically just text on a flat plane. So this is a really important print though, because as you're setting it up and going through the calibration phase, this is the first print you want to do, and it's also the one that the manual recommends you do. So the reason it's important is because you've got to set up your first layer height, and if you get this wrong, all your prints are going to be rubbish basically. So each printer has a different live z-axis variable value, so don't try and copy someone else's settings, because your printer is different to theirs and it uses different components. While they are technically the same components, in electronics, you know, nothing's ever the same, so each printer will actually be very different. And yeah, once you've set up your z-axis variable and got your layer height correct, as I said, follow the manual, it tells you everything to do in there. But you will hopefully get a nice first layer, and if you spin this around, you can actually see if it focuses. You can see the first layer because this is what's flat against the bed when it's printing. But my first real print was this 3D Benchy, and this is a pretty standard first print. It's really popular, and this one came out awesome. I mean, you can just see the detail on it straight away. Even inside the cabin there's a little steering wheel. Yeah, I mean, to get print quality like this on my second print, it's pretty incredible really. And again, it shows how awesome the printer is, to be honest. So what I did after I got those working was I bought a different type of plastic. So these are printed in PLA, which is a common plastic for sort of getting finer details and ultimately better quality prints. But depending on what you want out of the print, you can use different plastics. So for durability, like these parts for example, they're all printed in PET by Prusa, and the reason is because PET is more durable and it can withstand heat a lot better than PLA can. So as soon as I found that out, I went on the Prusa website and downloaded all the STL files for the printer parts, and I actually printed some spares from my printer. So I'd highly recommend doing this, because if a part goes, you'll have to order one or buy one from somebody else, and that's just a hassle, you know. If you've got a printer, print some spares. It's just you'll be grateful for it in the future. So as you can see, we've got parts like this one. As you can see, they're not as clean a print, but that's just because of the plastic, and I didn't mess around with the settings too much. But ultimately this, for example, this part is this one right here, so that's just a spare, and while they're not exactly the same colour, that doesn't matter. If you've got a spare and you need a spare, any colour will do. I pretty much printed spares of all the parts, but if you're going to do it, I would recommend the first ones you do are for the extruder, because the extruder is a bit that gets hot, and heat does wear things down over time, and eventually, you know, something will go wrong on the extruder. I think it's pretty much guaranteed at some point, you know. But if you've got the spares, like I've got extruder spares, like these are the main pieces. If you bought the kit version, you'll recognise them. But like this is the cover for the back, and you've got other little pieces like to access the nozzle and things like that. So I printed a lot of spares, like brackets, again, just loads of pieces, just so I'd show you those. And as I said, print some spares if you can, it's so worth it. And it's a good way to get experience using different plastics too. I mean, I think most people stick with PLA just because they're better quality prints, but you know, having to use a different plastic, you have to use different settings, and you have to change your settings in the slicer, and it's totally worth it just for the experience. So what I'll do now is I'll show you just how easy it is to get a print going. So in the side of the printer next to the screen here, there's an SD card, and what you want is files from your computer to put on this SD card. So any 3D modeling object is usually exported as an STL file. So for example, if you designed a chair in Fusion 360, you'd want to export that chair as an STL file, and then you can import the STL file into its slicing software, which will generate the G code that a printer understands. So you don't put the STL file on the SD card. What you do is you go into a slicer. I've been using Slicer Prusa Edition, which is awesome because it's basically set up for this printer and there's loads of different settings. So you just go into that, export your STL file as G code, which there's loads of tutorials out there on how to do that. I'll probably make some myself, but you just export it as G code, and it's the G code that you put on the SD card to get a print. So once you've done that on your printer, all you have to do is obviously preheat. If you don't preheat, it'll heat itself before it starts printing. So you want to go to print from SD and select the file from your computer on the printer, And once it's up to temperature, you'll see it'll start to go through a calibration check. So if I zoom in a bit, it does a 9-point calibration check to basically make sure that everything's looking good for a print. So if you move the printer, or if you change the level of the bed or anything like that, it'll pick it up and it'll recognize it in software, and it'll tell you that you need to recalibrate in order to print. So hopefully, you know, this check, I haven't had it go wrong yet, but I haven't moved the printer, so every time you move the printer you're going to have to redo the calibration. So as you can see there, that was successful, which means it's good to go, and it literally just starts printing. It does a little sort of test layer there just to clear anything that's on the nozzle, and it also it always does a sort of outline around the print. That's also just to make sure there's no sort of mess on the nozzle for that first layer, because the first layer is so critical, and if you get the first layer wrong, chances are the rest of the print's just not going to be very good. So if all is good, you'll see a solid first layer and it'll stick, and that's it. You just leave it do its thing, and I could watch this for hours. I might do some time lapses and things like that, but for now I'm going to cancel this print. So what you can do to immediately cancel a print, say something goes wrong, there's a big X button here on the front, you just hit that and it stops, it reboots itself, and that's it. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you enjoyed, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. It helps the channel out quite a lot. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer them. And also let me know in the comments what your first 3D print would be, or if you've already got a printer, what was your first 3D print? I'd be interested to see what some of you say. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.